Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David and this is my channel. Today's video, the elusive question, right? This is one of the most important questions we can ask at all times. Who are we talking to in our mind? So I can answer this in one word. Talking to you. You're talking to yourself. And you're talking to the one self, right? The source, our God. You're talking to the divine self, that divine part of you, kind of reaching out to home, so to speak. I want you to kind of sit with that. We're having dialogues in our mind all the time. I get that. And I know that some people might have more active dialogue in their mind. And it might feel like a lot of different voices. But can I convince you that it's just you talking to you? And the more we understand that, the more we'll pay attention to what we're saying. What are you saying to yourself? Because I've learned that once you could recognize all the different voices, the different personalities that are in there, and you put them together and you say, this is one personality, and it really is. Remember, you have taken on all the personalities of everyone you know inside your mind. So that idea of projection, this is her and this is him and this is her and this is him. Once you really put that all together, and I recommend taking that and putting them back into one voice, which is yours, that temporary part of us, that body mind that we are, temporarily while we're here in this body, and we've become every personality of everyone we've ever known. And the more you recognize that, you'll put it into one and say, okay, this is all me. This is everything that I believe I am in this temporary life, and not a bad thing. But it could be kind of messy in there, all those personalities. But one thing's for sure, who were you ever talking to? You are talking to your source. That is the only person you could talk to, the only entity that there is your source. You are that body mind, and you might have taken on all those different personalities. And you might even be thinking you're talking to all those different personalities and creating stories. But I can assure you that the only thing you're ever talking to is the other part of you. There's that source. And it's listening. Like a wonderful father that it is. You see? Listening to these stories. Listening to these ideas. Listening to these vibrations. Feeling the vibration that you have. And never, ever judging. Just listening and responding vibrationally, holding that loving, beautiful, wonderful vibration so that way you can match it all the time. And I love knowing that I'm talking to this part of me, and I recommend that because that's such a big deal. You know, once you realize there's no ego, we use the idea of ego to help us, like a training wheels, like a training tool. But there's no separate self. Therefore, there is no real ego. The more you align with your source, the more you'll disprove the ego ever existed. In fact, that's what the Holy Spirit does. It disproves the ego. As Yeshua would talk about in the Course in Miracles, you realize there never was a such thing as a separate self. Therefore, there is no real, true ego. Does that make sense? So we take those personalities, we put them back in. You create that body mind that you are, that temporary part of you. Yes, we could call that the ego self, but it does not go without this other part. You are consistently checking in, talking to, receiving information from the bigger part of who you are. Therefore, this part cannot exist by itself. You see, it's just like separation, or rather negativity. Negativity is missing. Negativity cannot exist by itself. It must have the other part, which is positivity. And once we recognize that, we won't even see negativity anymore, because you know it cannot exist by itself. It has to have its holy part. You see, there's only whole. holy. So I recommend that idea of who are you talking to? And when you have those conversations, stop and recognize that there is someone on the other end of that line. Don't think there isn't. And speak to it with a loving voice, even if it's just, thank you. How's your day going? Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for all the blessings and gifts. Thank you. There's that gratitude we talk about. Give gratitude and feel free to speak to that voice. That's really important. The mind, we have a reactive, I call it the outside mind, which is consistently bringing back thoughts, thought patterns that are going, and we hear those thought patterns. That's not your source. That's thought patterns. So don't mistake me. The voices are not your source. You have to learn the difference between what your source's voice feels like and what those thoughts sound like, because they are different. The thoughts are just coming in from that outside mind. But when you speak, you, in your mind, when you speak only to your source. Does that make sense? And the more you speak on purpose, instead of just reacting to those thoughts, to those voices, let them go for a second and speak directly to the source. This is how you let go of mind activity. Because mind activity is always coming in and you can get really caught up in it. We all know that. But you can also just stop and speak. Can't you? When I get caught up in mind activity, I stop and I speak to my source on the other end of that line because it is there. I promise you, it is there. And I speak loving things or maybe questions. Can you help me understand more of what I need to learn? Ask questions of it. It loves that. Can you bring me more clarity in this situation in my life, in this circumstance? Can you help me learn more about what love is? You see, and you ask these questions. Because mostly when we talk to it, we ask questions. Can you help me understand what abundance is? I get it confused sometimes. Can you help me understand what it is for me? Can you help me understand what my passion is in this life? Sometimes I feel like I don't know my passion. Can you help me with this? And then now you can create a conversation, a direct relationship with that part of you. It's there. I assure you. It's no idle fantasy. There is someone on the other end of that line when it comes from you. But when something's coming back to you in the form of reaction, talking about your mistakes, talking about your problems, just ignore that. This is just thought. And what are they? I can help you understand their habits, their habitual thinking, because we don't realize we're creating all of this. And sometimes we don't realize that all those thoughts that are coming through our habitual mind is creating our life and giving meaning to that world. So in order to turn that off, those thinking, which isn't coming from you, it's more coming to you, start from a different place. Instead of reacting to your thoughts, instead of responding to your thoughts, speak. You see, speak from your center. And as you speak, I assure you, your source will hear you. Your inner being will be on the other end of that line, because there's nobody on the other end of the line of the thoughts. They're just reactionary thoughts. They're literally just happening on their own based on belief systems, just running, kind of like a program. We've heard this idea. They're just programs running. Now, the good news is they are programs running to let you know they are running. So feel free to hear them. Write them down because they're coming through for a purpose. They're letting you know what's running in the background. But the more you let go of them and the more you speak directly to who you are with love, with appreciation, with asking for guidance, asking for whatever it is you want, whatever it is you want to know, the more you create a relationship through those thoughts. Because those thoughts are always going to be running. We just have to move through them. You will see they're in two different places. Because when you speak out to your source, it is a direct line. And if it's over here, it's you speaking your source. Over here are the thoughts. You see, they're not in the same place. It might feel like they're in the same place at first, but the more you directly speak to who you are with love and compassion and joy and appreciation and gratitude, those other parts, because you're in this place and not this place, this will slow down. Just like the more you move in positive, the more negative has to slow down. They're in two different places. But we can't get there from the thoughts. We have to, you can listen to them. Once again, they're going to let you know what's running in your background as long as you don't get caught up in them. But I recommend, instead of going and trying to get caught up in those thoughts, go into the direction and speak to who you are, because there is an entity on that end. You are connected to the mind of God. You are connected to your source. You are one with your God. Whatever you want to call it, it's listening to you 24/7. One of the greater things that I learned is I can wake up at 3:30 in the morning, upset, frustrated, anything I want, and say, hey, are you there? Yes, I am. Yes, I am here. And I got you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to appreciate you. You see, it's always there. And the more you recognize that there is a part of you that is always there, I don't care what you think you've done, what you think you've said. It's right there saying, I am here to love you. Period. Period. Is there anything better than that? Isn't that what we all want, to make sure that we're taken care of, to make sure we're looked out after? Because that voice of fear, or rather that voice of guilt, because I've learned I'm either talking to my source, confessing my guilt. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? I made so many mistakes, right? Pay attention to what you speak. I used to sit back in meditation. Who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? Just unloading all of my guilt, all of my problems, all of my issues, because that's what thinking is. And I can confess all of my guilt, all of my sin, and hold myself in contempt, hold myself in my own prison, and punish myself through these thoughts and words. And my source will sit there, and the whole time it just wants to love me. But it can't get through because I'm too busy punishing myself. That's what pain is. You look close enough in pain, look for the guilt. You'll see it. There's guilt somewhere. I did something wrong. I did something wrong. I did something wrong. Fearful future, you see. And the source is there going, I want to love you. I want to appreciate you. I want to send you the healing, but I can't. You're too closed off. You're too stuck in this prison of your own. So I've learned, let that go and move into a direction of, you know what? I know you've got me. You feel that? That's a release. It doesn't matter if I'm in pain. I know you've got the answer. I know you have the healing. I know you have the happiness. As Yeshua would say in the Course of Miracles, healing is to make whole. What does he mean by whole? Recognizing the other part. Guess what? It's right there with you right now. All you got to do is speak to it. Speak to it with love. Just like it was right in front of you. Don't worry about what's coming in. Think about what's going out. You have control over what's going out. Each one of us can sit 5-10 minutes and speak to ourselves with love, can't we? I love you. I appreciate you. By the way, I know you've got me. I know my money problems, but you know what? I know you have it coming in. I know you're ahead of this. I know you're taking care of me. I know I did not come here alone. I know that I'm a part of something bigger and wonderful and amazing. And I know you are taking care of me. I know you have me, and it's all taken care of. And watch how your energy feels. You're going to feel a release in your solar plexus, because this is real. This is real. I know that you are blessing me. I know that you are adoring me or appreciating me or even loving me. I know you're having fun with me. Speak to it like you're speaking to yourself, because you are. As Abraham Hicks would say, take some time each day and speak with love, speak with appreciation. Ask the questions you want to ask. Use your source. Learn to speak and ask and talk to your source more than anyone else. And then you will see it will come back. It will come back to you. And eventually that voice from your source will be very different than that clutter of those thoughts. And this will slow down and this will speed up. And now the conversation will be two parts. If you do not have that two-part conversation, you have to start it. Speak to it first, and then it will come back. Does that make sense? Take that with you, guys. As always, it is up to you what you receive. So much love and appreciation. Thanks for following along. Hit the like button if it's speaking to you, and subscribe and share. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation to each one of you.